very lovely to have you here in this deliriously gorgeous studio in the big chair.
Thank you for
at
having me.
Accidental Theatre.
Thank you so much.
And you're going to talk to us a little bit today about your career in casting, but I'm really interested in what brought you to this point, because it's not a terribly common kind of line of work. I can't think of a lot of people that can necessarily go into casting, and I always thought it was really interesting that you did. So I'd love to know more about kind of how that came about.
Yeah, I mainly got into casting through producing. I'd been producing for about 2.5 years, and casting was the most interesting part of that job, working as a producer. And it did come at a weird time in like COVID and lockdown, because we had to do a lot of online work. So I ended up learning producing and casting through screen, but for live performance. So it was a little bit weird that back when everything was a bit hybrid. And I only got into producing because I'd worked in stage management and production management for a long time before that. So I felt like I'd worked in the industry. I'd met with and worked with a lot of actors and directors, and I was really interested in that relationship between directors and actors. But being present, being able to facilitate that as a stage manager, as a production manager, later as a producer, I just kept coming back to putting actors in the room, getting actors what they needed to do work. And in order to develop work as a producer, that segued into casting. It was just the most interesting part of the job for me, so I wanted to focus on it a little bit more.
What I always found fascinating, because in my previous roles, I was very much at the point of kind of buying in the final product of the show, as opposed to being part of the behind the scenes, the behind the curtain part. So stage management is that really interesting role. You're not on the stage, you're not directing the show, but you're absolutely integral.
Yes. I loved stage management. I love stage managers. Look after your stage managers. I loved stage management. I did feel like I eventually outgrew it, because there was more that I wanted to get out of production. Stage management kind of gets brought on about the kind of first week of rehearsals. Meanwhile, there was a whole world of production pre that I hadn't really worked in, I didn't really know a lot about, so I wanted to get more knowledge in that, and that sort of opened the door to casting.
Fantastic. So why, you just said there that you thought that casting was the most interesting part of kind of the whole putting a production together. Why is that?
Oh, that's a really good question. It was interesting for me, I think, because I knew the people so well. I worked a lot in once the actors got the job, and I loved filling in the blanks of casting the actors who was right for the role, who was available, who had the skills, but then also being able to kind of unpick that with directors. Who does the director need in the room? Who does the director need to work with in order to serve the work and serve those characters?
It's almost like that incredible special sauce where whenever somebody is cast perfectly, everything is just glorious. But that must be such an intricate art in a way to get, like you say, to get exactly the right person for that character, for that director.
Yes, and it's absolutely down to the people that are the performers and the directors that get the performance out of these people. It is, like I talk about it a lot, saying that it's the magic, it's the thing that you can't quite describe. It just fits, it just clicks, and it's amazing. So I enjoy demystifying the process for actors, because no two productions are the same, no two processes are the same, no two directors work the same way. So there is a lot of a learning curve with every new person that I get to work with. Every time I'm in the room with someone new, even from day to day, things can change. The demands of the process can change how we approach the work. So when I run workshops with actors, and I run a lot of workshops with Mary Ellen O'Hara, a lot of what we do, we think we're going to go through some acting techniques, and a lot of the time it's just the actors going, when they ask for this, what does it mean? And when this comes into our emails, what does it mean? What are we supposed to do? So we've really been trying to sort of cater our workshops to approaching the work, not necessarily from like a skills point of view, but also those technical elements that comes with work and employment and being a worker in the industry.
And that's a whole other can of worms, isn't it? That area of being able to, well, essentially negotiate whenever you want to act, you want to perform, you want to be part of a show, but there's that whole process to get through first where you have to understand and be able to kind of negotiate for yourself and advocate for yourself within that process.
Yes, that's where I think my transferable skills kind of came from, coming up through production as a freelancer with stage management, production management, and then into producing, because working out a lot of those contracts, the skills that come with building a contract, reading a contract, negotiating a contract has all been an accumulation of years of the industry. And that all sort of started because I just been working for a long time, that other people that were coming up that were also in production would have reached out to me and asked, how do I change how do I charge for a daily rate, for example? How do I charge these people that aren't on an equity contract? How do I do my holiday pay? Do I pay tax on my holiday pay? Just like silly, what they think are silly questions are actually really important questions that you don't think you need to know at that point in your career, but actually it's really beneficial to know exactly what you're agreeing to in a contract.
100%.
What you're willing to work for, what you're not willing to work for. It's more than just about money, it's also about your hours, how much time you're willing to dedicate to it, what roles and responsibilities you're willing to undertake. That all happened over time, and what made me really want to get involved in the unions like Equity and BEC2, just to kind of support the workforce as a whole. To support the workers, not just actors, but also crew. And when you're bringing people on board, that everyone is on the same page, working towards the same goal. You don't have to know everyone else's, like how they're doing their job, but you need to know that they're also there. That it takes a lot of moving parts to make a production work.
So with Mary Ellen, you moved from theatre, kind of from the theatre world essentially into screen, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've been working in this sector for a long time, and have never ever kind of crossed into screen at all. They seem so separate. And I remember we were having a chat, and you said the interesting thing is that the screen industry doesn't have the kind of the equity organisations that we have within theatre. So I'd be familiar with those membership organisations that workers can be part of that support them with that. But within the screen industry, it's different.
It is different. It certainly feels different. Even on the face of it, it might seem very similar. Even to look for funding, you can apply to different funding bodies that will only fund theatre, only fund screen, and it's sometimes frustrating for the workforce because there are so many people that work across both. So I understand those frustrations, and part of what I love to talk to people in the industry about is how they approach that, how it makes sense to them.
You know, what are there kind of common pitfalls that people might fall into if one of those, you know, if you could talk to your younger self, is there something that you might say, actually, if only I'd known this, or if only I'd looked there, you know, there always is. And in another 5 or 10 years, I'm going to be saying, that's true.
If I could talk to myself in 2026, here's what I would do differently. And I suppose the main thing is that the industry is ever changing. Things change all the time with best practice, with unions, for example, and with the law. There's more like employment bills are coming into pass in government at the end of 2025 into 2026. And I suppose the best thing that I would give myself for advice is try to learn as much as possible. You don't have to memorize it all, but try to learn as much as possible about where to find those pockets of information. So what is your entitlement for holiday pay? It's not just a union thing, it is a legal thing. Try to find out what other people's contracts are like, what their structure is, what are they including and what are they leaving out. If you get a contract through and you think it's a little bit light, you can kind of go, where's the rest of my contract? It hasn't mentioned sickness, or it hasn't mentioned holiday pay. Just even those little kind of check boxes to go, what's included here that I need to be aware of. And knowing that if something happens in the middle of a contract, I mean like across several months, if you're in the middle of that and something happens, you need to be able to refer back to your contract and go, oh, what do I do if I am sick? Am I responsible for finding my own cover? Or is the production going to find someone to cover for me? All that should be in your contract. Or if it's not in your contract, what union do you go to ask for advice? Do you need to check the websites on the government? What is the law? What do you need to do? Where can you find the assistance and guidance? Yeah.
And then theoretically, if you can get all of that in place, then that means that hopefully everything will go absolutely swimmingly and you'll have a beautiful experience. But for any reason, if it doesn't, you know that you've got that contract there and that will support you, and it's your safety net.
It's your safety net. It is just making sure that you're covered from a legal and professional standpoint, because you don't want to get caught. And if you are in a bad situation in work, you don't want that to get worse.
No. Yeah. And I think probably I would certainly, having essentially been an employee a lot of my life, I would find navigating that as a freelancer something completely new and foreign, and potentially make a few assumptions around, oh, well, so-and-so will look after me, or this organisation or that production, whereas in fact being able to, you are responsible for yourself as a freelance employee and for making sure that all of that is in place.
Absolutely. It is the added pressure that we have as freelancers, unfortunately, but the earlier that you can get your head around it, and you don't have to be an expert by any means. There are experts out there to help you. Yeah. It's just knowing where to find them and to make sure that you're covered, really.
Perfect.
It sounds a bit doom and gloom. It all sounds very heavy, but I promise once you get your head around the basics, it almost like takes a weight off you, that you know you're going into a job, and whether things go wrong or things go brilliantly right, that everything's going to work out.
You're okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are your hopes for the industry here?
I hope that our cast and crews in our film industry and our stage industry can advocate for themselves, that everyone has a base education of their workers' rights, of what the best practice is, of what to expect when they're working, of what they can prep for themselves. And I really hope that the people in positions of power that have the control are supporting and valuing the workers, and paying people properly, and making sure that everyone is taken care of on that professional level.
I mean, I think that's fair enough, isn't it? It's what we all kind of would hope for.
Yeah, it's just really important that whether you are behind the scenes or in front of the camera, or if you're in production where you are the producer, yes, the buck might stop with you and you'll have your own responsibilities, but everyone has the right to safety on set and dignity on set. And I just think it's really important that even though we have our own roles and responsibilities, we're all working together towards the same shared goal. And so it's really good if we can all advocate for ourselves, advocate for each other as well, because we all end up working in teams.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to support each other on set as well.
I mean, a production is a massive team sport. It really brings together so many different people. Yeah.
I talk to a lot of actors in workshops. There are actors that have been in the industry for many, many years, but the industry changed a lot over lockdown with like the increase in self-tapes, less in-person auditions for theatre, etc. But the thing that we hear across the board from cast and crew is no two jobs are the same. So even if you're coming into the industry for the first time, it can be daunting to be on set for the first time. But also if you've never been on a particular set for the first time, it's going to be different. You're going to meet people that you've never met before. True. It's material that you haven't worked with before. And it's just regulating yourself and getting your prep ready and having a really good, we talk about having a really robust relationship with yourself, is knowing everything and all the prep that you can do in advance, again, so that you're sweet when you're
It's like having your breakfast before you start the day, you're setting yourself up with the best chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That sounds great. Should we talk about Shonda Rhimes?
Oh my God. Love Shonda Rhimes.
Why have you got such a big crush on Shonda Rhimes? What do you love about it?
A very professional crush on
obviously.
Shonda Rhimes. There are so many female producers out there that I love because they're just making the work that they want to make, but at the same time they're seeing what it is in the market or with their audience that their audience want to see. They know the needs of their audience. They know their audiences very well, and Shonda's one of those people that just went out, just started making it, just went, I just want to make this. I feel like there's no one's making it and I want to make it, and just took off and makes high quality work that everyone loves to work on, everyone loves to watch, everyone wants more of. And isn't that the dream?
It is so totally
Rachel,
the
we would
dream.
love to do that.
I know, that's very true. I know. Watch this space.
Watch this space.
Natalie and Rich Productions.
Yeah.
Nats and Rich.
Someday.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, my love.
Thank you.